Admiral Minjun Park sat in his office watching the morning news when everything changed forever. The reporter smiled as she announced that today would mark the first official diplomatic ceremony between Earth and the Zeltharian Galactic Empire. After 3 years of careful negotiations, humanity was finally being welcomed into galactic civilization. Park had his doubts. Something about the aliens felt wrong during their meetings. They looked at humans the same way humans might look at insects. But Earth's politicians wanted this alliance badly. The promise of advanced technology and trade routes across the galaxy was too tempting to refuse. The broadcast began at exactly noon, Earth time. Every human colony world was watching. Schools stopped classes so children could witness this historic moment. Families gathered around their screens. Even Park found himself leaning forward as the image appeared on his monitor. The scene showed a massive plaza on New Terra Prime, humanity's largest agricultural colony. 10 billion humans lived there, growing food for Earth and the other colonies. Park recognized the central square where farmers held their weekly markets. But today, instead of fruit and grain, something else filled the space. Cages. Thousands upon thousands of metal cages, each holding terrified human families. Park's blood turned cold. This was not a diplomatic ceremony. This was something far worse. The camera moved to show a raised platform where a tall, pale creature stood. Emperor Zelthak of the Galactic Empire wore flowing robes that seemed to shift colors in the light. His 4 arms gestured gracefully as he began to speak. When his voice came through the speakers, it sounded like breaking glass. "People of Earth," the Emperor said, "today you will learn the truth about your place in the universe. Your species has spread beyond your home world like a disease. You consume resources that belong to civilized races. You breed without control. You think yourselves equal to your betters." Park tried to activate his emergency communications, but every channel was blocked. The aliens had taken control of all human broadcast networks. Every person in the solar system was forced to watch what came next. "We have decided to demonstrate the consequences of such arrogance," Emperor Zelthak continued. "These specimens represent your finest farmers, your most productive workers, your most beloved families. They will serve as an example to the rest of your kind." The Emperor raised one of his 4 hands. Zeltharian soldiers moved among the cages. Each soldier carried a weapon that hummed with energy. The humans inside the cages pressed themselves against the bars, crying and begging in dozens of languages. "No," Park whispered, reaching for his phone to call someone. Anyone who might stop this. But he knew it was already too late. The Emperor's hand fell. Light filled the plaza. When it faded, the cages stood empty. 10 billion human beings had been reduced to ash in seconds. The wind scattered the remains across the stone ground, like gray snow. Park felt the room spinning around him. His hands shook as he gripped his desk. In his 30 years of military service, he had seen death and destruction. But nothing had prepared him for this. The casual, effortless murder of an entire world's population, while their families watched helplessly from across the galaxy. Emperor Zelthak smiled, showing rows of needle-sharp teeth. "This is what happens to pests that forget their place. Your species will surrender all colony worlds within 30 standard days. You will restrict yourselves to your home planet. You will accept the guidance of your betters. If you refuse, Earth itself will share the fate of New Terra Prime." The broadcast ended. Park's office fell silent, except for the sound of his own rapid breathing. Outside his window, he could see people in the streets. Some were running. Others stood frozen in shock. Many were crying. His communication system finally activated. Calls flooded in from every military installation on Earth and throughout the solar system. Admiral Sarah Chen from Mars Base was shouting something about immediate mobilization. Captain Elena Rodriguez from Luna Station demanded orders for her special operations teams. Commander James Wright's intelligence division was reporting massive alien fleet movements toward Earth, but Park barely heard them. His mind was processing what he had just witnessed. The Zeltharians had not just committed murder. They had committed it as a show. They wanted humanity to feel helpless and afraid. They wanted Earth to surrender without a fight. They had made a terrible mistake. Park stood up slowly and activated his emergency command protocols. Every human military installation received the same message within minutes. All forces report to stations immediately. Preparation. Order 7 is now in effect. This is not a drill. Preparation Order 7 was something Park had hoped never to use. It activated protocols that Earth's military had been developing in secret since the first alien contact. While diplomats talked about friendship and trade, soldiers and scientists had been preparing for this exact possibility. The Zeltharians thought they knew humanity. They had studied Earth for decades before making contact. They had analyzed human psychology, technology, and military capabilities. They believed humans were weak creatures driven by emotion and fear. They were partially right. Humans were driven by emotion. The emotion now, filling every human heart, was rage. Park opened a secure channel to Earth's Unified Defense Council. Within an hour, representatives from every nation and colony gathered in the underground command center beneath Geneva. The room was silent as Park showed them the footage again. When it ended, the silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, Director Kim Yoon-seo from the Asian Defense Union spoke. "How long until their fleet reaches Earth?" 28 days, Commander Wright reported. "Our deep space sensors show at least 300 ships moving toward the solar system." "And our response?" asked General Martinez from the Americas Union. Park looked around the room at faces filled with the same cold fury he felt burning in his chest. These were people who had lost family, friends, and loved ones in the broadcast. People who now understood that humanity faced complete extinction unless they acted. "We activate Operation Alien Extinct," Park said quietly. "Every protocol, every weapon, every plan we have developed for the last 50 years. The Zeltharians want to exterminate humanity. Instead, we are going to exterminate them." The Council voted unanimously. Earth was going to war, but this would not be the quick surrender the Empire expected. This would be something the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity was about to show the Zeltharian Empire why it was dangerous to corner a predator species. Dr. Sarah Chen had been waiting for this day for 15 years. As she walked through the corridors of Research Station Omega, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, she felt both relief and dread. Relief because humanity's secret preparations would finally be revealed. Dread because it meant the worst-case scenario had come to pass. The station looked like a mining facility from the outside. Ships came and went carrying ore and processed metals. But beneath the rocky surface, humanity had built something extraordinary. Factories that could produce warships faster than anything the Zeltharians had ever seen. Laboratories where scientists had been studying alien biology since the first contact. Training facilities where soldiers learned to fight enemies they had never met. Chen entered her private lab, where she had spent years studying Zeltharian genetic samples obtained through secret diplomatic channels. The aliens thought they were trading harmless cultural artifacts. They had no idea that every gift contained traces of genetic material that human scientists could analyze. Admiral Park's voice echoed through the station's communication system. "All department heads to the main briefing room immediately. Operation Alien Extinct is now active." Chen gathered her research files and headed to the meeting. The briefing room was larger than most people realized. Carved deep into the asteroid's core, representatives from dozens of secret installations throughout the solar system appeared on wall screens. Each facility had been working on different aspects of humanity's defense preparations. Admiral Park stood at the center of the room, looking older than Chen remembered. The stress of the last few hours showed on his face. Behind him, a massive display showed the current positions of human and alien forces throughout local space. The Zeltharian Empire believes they are facing a primitive species with basic technology, Park began. They are wrong. For 50 years, since we first detected alien signals, humanity has been preparing for this possibility. Today, you will learn exactly what we have built. The display changed to show a star map of the solar system. Red dots marked known human installations. Blue dots showed secret military bases that few people knew existed. There were hundreds of blue dots. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. Military assets first. We have been constructing vessels in hidden shipyards throughout the outer system. The aliens scanned our public facilities and saw cargo ships and research vessels. They never detected our real fleet. New images appeared on the screen. Sleek warships, unlike anything in the public database. Fighters designed for space combat. Massive carriers that could transport entire armies between star systems. Chen counted over 2,000 vessels of various sizes. Our ships use stealth technology developed from studying Zeltharian sensor systems, Rodriguez continued. They cannot detect us until we choose to reveal ourselves. We call them ghost ships. Commander Wright took over the presentation. Intelligence operations have been active for decades. We have agents on 47 worlds throughout the galaxy. Most are humans who volunteered for deep cover missions. Others are alien sympathizers who oppose the Empire. We know the location of every major Zeltharian military base, supply depot, and command center. The star map expanded to show the local galactic region. Hundreds of worlds appeared, marked with different colors to show their strategic importance. Chen was amazed at the scope of human intelligence gathering. Dr. Chen will explain our biological research, Park said, nodding toward her. Chen stood and activated her portion of the presentation. Years of secret work appeared on the screens around them. Genetic analyses, biological weapon prototypes, and detailed studies of alien physiology. The Zeltharians evolved on a low-gravity world with high atmospheric density, Chen explained. Their bones are hollow like birds. Their internal organs are more fragile than human organs. Most importantly, their nervous system operates on collective consciousness principles. She brought up brain scans of captured Zeltharian specimens. Individual Zeltharians are not very intelligent. Their mental capacity comes from connection to others of their species through electromagnetic fields. Disrupt those fields, and they become confused and helpless. What about biological weapons? Asked General Martinez through the communication link. Chen hesitated for a moment, then activated another file. I have developed 3 separate biological agents that target Zeltharian genetics specifically. They are completely harmless to humans and most other known species. But to Zeltharians, they are completely fatal. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what Chen was describing. Weapons of mass destruction designed to kill an entire species. How quickly do they work? Park asked, quietly. The fastest acts within hours. The slowest takes several days, but spreads through their atmospheric systems more effectively. All 3 are designed to target their unique genetic markers. Even if they try to modify their biology, these weapons will adapt. Dr. Kim Min-jun from the Luna Research Facility appeared on one of the communication screens. What about production capabilities? Can we build enough weapons to face their entire empire? Chen smiled grimly. This is where humanity's real advantage appears. The Zeltharians build everything on massive factory worlds with centralized production. We have been developing distributed manufacturing systems throughout the solar system. Every asteroid mining station, every orbital facility, every moon base can produce weapons and ammunition. Park activated another display showing manufacturing statistics. We can build ships and weapons faster than any species the galaxy has seen. While they transport materials across hundreds of light years, we build everything locally. Our production rate increases exponentially. As we expand, Captain Rodriguez added, our pilots train in variable gravity environments from childhood. Zeltharian pilots train only in their home gravity. Our soldiers learn to adapt to any environment. Theirs follow rigid tactical doctrines. Our engineers design equipment that works anywhere. Theirs require specific environmental conditions. Human children, Commander Wright said, bringing up training footage, begin strategic thinking games before they can walk properly. Zeltharian children are connected to the collective consciousness and never learn individual decision-making. In any situation requiring adaptation or creative thinking, humans have massive advantages. Dr. Chen looked around the room at the faces of her colleagues. There is something else. Our genetic research shows that humans adapt to alien environments faster than any known species. We can survive on worlds that would kill most aliens. We can process foods that are poisonous to others. Our immune systems learn to fight alien diseases in days instead of years. Park nodded slowly. The Zeltharians studied humanity for decades. They know our technology and our numbers, but they never understood our real capabilities. They see us as agricultural creatures because that is what we showed them. They have no idea that we are actually persistence predators with advanced tool-making abilities. What are our orders? Asked Captain Rodriguez. Admiral Park's expression hardened. The Zeltharian Empire has declared war on humanity by murdering 10 billion innocent people. They expect us to surrender in fear. Instead, we are going to show them why every predator species in Earth's history eventually went extinct, except us. He activated the final display, showing attack vectors and target priorities throughout Zeltharian space. Operation Alien Extinct begins in 72 hours. We will strike 12 different worlds simultaneously. We will rescue any humans still alive on their prison worlds. We will destroy their military infrastructure, and we will make sure that every species in the galaxy understands what happens to anyone who commits genocide against humanity. The meeting ended with department heads returning to their stations to begin final preparations. As Chen walked back to her lab, she thought about the biological weapons locked in her secure storage. She had created tools that could eliminate an entire species from the galaxy forever. She hoped they would never need to use them. But after seeing what happened on New Terra Prime, she was prepared to do whatever was necessary to protect humanity from extinction. Captain Elena Rodriguez checked her weapon one final time as the ghost ship Retribution moved through hyperspace toward the Zeltharian border world of Keth Prime. Around her, 50 of Earth's best special operations soldiers prepared their equipment in silence. Each person in the unit had volunteered for a mission with almost zero chance of survival. 2 minutes to drop point, announced Lieutenant Park Ji-woo from the pilot's chair. The young man was Admiral Park's nephew, and one of the finest pilots in the human fleet. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease as he prepared to bring them out of hyperspace directly inside the enemy system. Rodriguez activated her communication link to speak with the other 11 strike teams, hitting different targets across Zeltharian space. Operation Alien Extinct was beginning with surgical precision strikes designed to cripple the Empire's ability to respond to humanity's declaration of war. Ghost Leader to all units. Status report. Ghost 2 ready. Target is Zelth Manufacturing Complex, came Captain Kim Sujin's voice from another ship. Ghost 3 ready. Target is Keth Naval Academy, reported Major Zhang Wei. One by one, all 12 teams confirmed their readiness. In exactly 90 seconds, humanity would announce its presence to the galaxy in a way that no one would ever forget. Rodriguez looked at her soldiers. These were people who had trained for years in zero-gravity combat, hostile environment operations, and urban warfare. They knew they were about to face an enemy that outnumbered them millions to one. But they also knew that 10 billion humans had died screaming while the galaxy watched. Fear was not an option anymore. 30 seconds, Lieutenant Park announced. Stealth systems at maximum. Enemy sensors show no detection. The ship shuddered slightly as it dropped back into normal space. Through the viewport, Rodriguez could see Keth Prime spinning slowly ahead of them. The planet was covered in massive industrial complexes where the Zeltharians built weapons and ships for their empire. Intelligence reports showed over 2 billion aliens living and working on the surface. Multiple enemy ships detected, reported Sergeant Chen Mina from the sensor station. 12 battleships, 46 cruisers, and approximately 200 smaller vessels. None of them have detected our presence. Rodriguez smiled grimly. The ghost ships used technology that human engineers had developed specifically to counter Zeltharian sensors. The enemy would have no warning until it was far too late. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. Lieutenant Park activated the ship's electromagnetic pulse system. Dr. Chen's research had shown that Zeltharian collective consciousness depended on specific electromagnetic frequencies. The pulse generator would disrupt those frequencies across the entire planet, causing mass confusion among the population. The effect was immediate. Through the communication interceptors, Rodriguez could hear Zeltharian voices becoming confused and panicked, as their mental connections to each other were severed. Individual aliens were almost helpless without the collective guidance they relied on for everything from basic decisions to complex problem-solving. Phase 1 complete. Enemy fleet is showing signs of navigation problems, reported Sergeant Chen. Their formation is breaking apart. Begin Phase 2, Rodriguez ordered. The ghost ship moved closer to the planet while remaining invisible to enemy sensors. Their target was the primary military command center, a massive complex built into the planet's largest continent. According to intelligence reports, this facility coordinated military operations for 6 different star systems. Launching orbital bombardment packages, announced Lieutenant Park. 12 small missiles launched from the Retribution's hidden weapon bays. Each missile contained a biological payload designed by Dr. Chen's team. The weapons would target only Zeltharian genetics, while leaving any other species unharmed. More importantly, the biological agents would spread through the planet's atmosphere within hours. Rodriguez watched the missiles disappear into the planet's atmosphere. There was no explosion, no visible sign of impact. The weapons would do their work silently and efficiently. Ghost Leader to all units. Report Phase 2 status. Ghost 4 here. Biological package delivered to Zelth Command. Enemy response is minimal. Ghost 7 reporting. Naval Academy target neutralized. No enemy resistance detected. Ghost 9. 2. Leader. Manufacturing complex is offline. Biological agents are dispersing as planned. One by one, every team reported successful delivery of their biological weapons. Across 12 worlds, Zeltharian military infrastructure was being eliminated without the enemy understanding what was happening to them. Begin Phase 3, Rodriguez ordered. This was the most dangerous part of the mission. Intelligence reports indicated that each target world held human prisoners, taken during various raids over the past 3 years. The teams had to rescue as many as possible before the biological weapons took full effect. The Retribution moved toward the planet's surface, using its stealth systems to avoid the confused enemy patrols. Rodriguez and her team prepared to drop directly into the prison complex, where over 3,000 humans were being held. Drop zone in sight, reported Lieutenant Park. Enemy ground forces are showing severe coordination problems. The electromagnetic pulse is working better than expected. Rodriguez looked down at the alien prison facility. It was a massive structure, surrounded by energy barriers and guard towers. Under normal circumstances, assaulting such a position would require an entire army. But circumstances were far from normal. Deploy, Rodriguez ordered. 50 human soldiers dropped from the invisible ship, using personal gravity manipulators. They landed silently around the prison complex while confused Zeltharian guards stumbled around trying to understand why their equipment had stopped working properly. Rodriguez led her team toward the main entrance. The Zeltharian guards barely noticed them approaching. Without their collective consciousness, individual aliens could not process complex situations or coordinate group responses. "Charges set," reported Corporal Lee Sung-min as he placed explosive devices around the energy barrier generators. The explosions lit up the night as the prison's defenses collapsed. Rodriguez and her soldiers rushed through the breach, their weapons ready for resistance that never came. The Zeltharian guards were too confused to organize any kind of defense. Inside the prison, Rodriguez found corridors lined with cells containing terrified humans, men, women, and children from various colony worlds, all waiting to be executed for the entertainment of the Empire. Many were injured, but most were still alive. "This is Captain Rodriguez, Earth Special Forces," she announced as her soldiers began opening cell doors. "We are here to get you home." The rescued humans could hardly believe what they were seeing. Many had been prisoners for months, expecting to die like the people on New Terra Prime. Now, soldiers from Earth were cutting through alien security systems as if they were made of paper. "How many of you are there?" asked a woman, who identified herself as Dr. Margaret Foster, from the colony world of Haven. "Enough," Rodriguez replied as she helped an injured man to his feet. "The war has begun. Humanity is fighting back." As her team evacuated the prisoners to extraction points, Rodriguez received reports from the other strike teams. Thousands of humans were being rescued from prison facilities across Zeltharian space. The enemy was too confused and disorganized to mount any effective resistance. "Ghost Leader, this is Admiral Park," came a transmission from Earth. "Status report. Mission successful, Admiral. Phase 3, complete at all targets. We have rescued approximately 15,000 human prisoners. Biological weapons are taking effect on schedule. Enemy response is minimal. Excellent work, Captain. Return to base immediately. Phase 4 begins in 6 hours." Rodriguez looked around at the alien prison one last time. Bodies of Zeltharian guards were scattered throughout the facility, victims of the biological weapons that were now spreading across 12 worlds. In a few hours, every alien on those planets would be dead. Part of her felt sick at the scale of destruction they were causing. Billions of lives were ending because of weapons she had helped deploy. But then, she remembered the broadcast from New Terra Prime. She remembered 10 billion humans being murdered while their families watched helplessly. The Zeltharian Empire had started this war by committing genocide. Earth was going to finish it the same way. "All units, begin extraction," Rodriguez ordered. "Time to go home." As the ghost ships departed the target systems, they left behind 12 worlds where the Zeltharian Empire was learning what it meant to face humanity in war. But this was only the beginning. Admiral Park's plan called for hundreds of similar strikes over the coming weeks. Every major Zeltharian military installation would be destroyed. Every alien fleet would be eliminated. Every world that supported the Empire would face the consequences. The galaxy was about to discover why humanity had become the dominant predator on Earth, and why underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. Admiral Min-jun Park stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station, watching the largest fleet in galactic history approach the solar system. 3 weeks had passed since Operation Alien Extinct began, and the Zeltharian Empire was responding with everything they had. "Enemy fleet composition confirmed," reported Commander Wright from his intelligence station. "Over 800 capital ships, 2,000 cruisers, and approximately 5,000 smaller vessels. Total force estimate is 12 million Zeltharian soldiers." Park nodded grimly. The Empire had committed nearly their entire military to destroying humanity's home system. After losing 12 major worlds to human biological weapons, Emperor Zelthak was no longer underestimating Earth's capabilities. "Our fleet status?" Park asked. 200 ghost ships in position throughout the outer system," reported Captain Rodriguez, who had returned from the successful prison rescue missions. "All stealth systems operational. The enemy cannot detect us until we choose to engage. Ground defenses? Every human settlement from Mercury to Pluto is armed and ready," replied General Martinez through the communication link. Civilian evacuation is complete. All non-essential personnel are in the deep shelters. Park looked at the tactical display showing the approaching enemy fleet. The Zeltharians had learned from their defeats. This time they were coming with overwhelming force and improved sensor technology designed to detect human stealth ships. But humanity had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Dr. Chen. Status of the biological weapons. Dr. Chen appeared on one of the wall screens from her laboratory on Luna. The final weapon is ready, Admiral. But I must remind you of the consequences. This version will target every Zeltharian in the galaxy simultaneously. If we deploy it, we will be committing complete genocide of their species. How many of them are left? Park asked. After our strikes on their 12 worlds, approximately 40 billion Zeltharians remain alive across 800 planets, Chen replied. This weapon would kill them all within 72 hours. The command center fell silent. Everyone understood what Dr. Chen was describing. Humanity now possessed the ability to eliminate an entire intelligent species from the universe forever. It was a power that no civilization should have, and a decision that no person should have to make. Admiral, came a transmission from the enemy fleet. This is Emperor Zelthak of the Galactic Empire. I offer you one final chance to surrender before we cleanse your system of all life. Park activated the reply channel. This is Admiral Park of Earth Defense Command. Your empire murdered 10 billion innocent humans. We reject any terms except your complete and unconditional surrender. Zelthak's laugh sounded like grinding metal through the speakers. You primitives have managed to surprise us with your hidden weapons and biological warfare. But this ends now. You face the combined might of an empire that has conquered thousands of worlds. Your tricks will not save you. Then come and take our world, Emperor. Let us see how well your empire fights when facing an angry humanity. The transmission ended. Park turned to his staff with a calm expression that hid the storm of emotions inside his mind. Everything humanity had worked for, everything they had built, would be decided in the next few hours. All units, this is Admiral Park. The enemy has rejected our terms. Begin defensive operations immediately. Remember, we are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting for every species in the galaxy that might face genocide in the future. The battle began as the Zeltharian fleet entered the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. They expected to sweep through empty space toward Earth's defenses. Instead, they found thousands of mining platforms that suddenly revealed themselves as heavily armed battle stations. First wave engaging, reported Captain Kim Soo-jin from Ghost Squadron. Enemy formation is breaking up under concentrated fire from the asteroid defenses. The mining platforms used mass drivers originally designed for launching ore shipments. Now, they hurled dense metal projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Zeltharian shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, could not stop solid objects moving at such velocities. Enemy losses are heavy, Wright reported. Over 200 ships destroyed in the first 15 minutes, but they are adapting their formations. Park watched the tactical display as the alien fleet reorganized. The Zeltharians were learning to avoid the asteroid belt defenses, but that forced them into specific approach vectors that human strategists had anticipated. Activate the Jupiter trap, Park ordered. Near Jupiter's orbit, what appeared to be a small human research station suddenly exploded outward into dozens of heavily armed warships. The Ghost Fleet had been hiding inside a false structure, waiting for the enemy to commit to their attack run. Ghost Fleet engaging enemy flanks, Rodriguez reported from the lead ship. Surprise attack successful. Enemy rear guard is in full retreat. The space battle raged for hours as human forces used every advantage they had developed. Ships that could not be detected until they fired. Weapons that worked in ways the aliens had never encountered. Tactics that made no sense to an empire accustomed to rigid military doctrine. But the Zeltharian numbers were overwhelming. Despite heavy losses, their fleet continued advancing toward Earth's inner system. Enemy vanguard has passed Mars, Wright reported. Estimated arrival at Earth in 6 hours. What about Luna Base? Park asked. Preparing for siege operations, replied Colonel Park Yuna, Admiral Park's daughter and commander of humanity's lunar defenses. We have 50,000 volunteers ready to hold the line. Park felt a cold weight in his stomach. His daughter was about to face an enemy force that outnumbered her defenders by more than 100 to 1. But Luna Base controlled the orbital defense platforms that protected Earth itself. If it fell, the planet would be defenseless. Admiral, Dr. Chen's voice came through the communication system. The biological weapon is ready for deployment. I can target the entire enemy fleet within minutes. Park stared at the tactical display showing thousands of enemy ships approaching Earth. Each ship contained hundreds or thousands of Zeltharian soldiers. If Chen deployed her final weapon, all of them would die horribly within hours. But if she did not, humanity might face extinction. Wait. The battle for Luna began as Zeltharian assault ships landed across the moon's surface. Human defenders fought from prepared positions, using weapons designed specifically for low-gravity combat. The aliens had superior numbers, but humans had trained for this exact scenario for decades. Luna Base to Earth Command, came his daughter's voice through explosions and weapons fire. Enemy forces are landing in massive numbers. We are holding the primary defense perimeter, but they keep coming. Reinforcements are on the way. Park replied, though he knew no reinforcements existed. Every human ship was already committed to the battle. Dad, Yuna said quietly, using a private channel. I need you to know that we understand what we are fighting for. The people here chose to stay and defend Earth. If we die... Park closed his eyes for a moment, thinking about his daughter leading desperate defenses against overwhelming odds. Thinking about Dr. Chen's biological weapon that could end the threat forever. Thinking about 10 billion humans who had died on New Terra Prime. All units, he announced on the General Communication Channel. This is Admiral Park. I am authorizing Dr. Chen to deploy the final biological weapon. All human forces are to take immediate protective measures. Admiral, Chen replied. Are you certain? Once I release this, there will be no stopping it. Every Zeltharian in the galaxy will die. Park looked at the display showing enemy forces overrunning Luna Base's outer defenses. He thought about every human child hiding in shelters across the solar system. He thought about every species in the galaxy that might face genocide if the Empire survived this battle. The Zeltharian Empire chose to make this a war of extinction. Park said quietly. They made their choice on New Terra Prime. Now we make ours. Deploy the weapon, Doctor. End this. Dr. Chen's finger moved toward the activation control for humanity's most terrible weapon. In the space around Earth, the largest battle in galactic history continued to rage. But in a few hours, only one species would remain alive to remember what had happened here. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity could be merciful to those who showed mercy. But to those who threatened human children, humanity could become something far more dangerous than any monster the universe had ever seen. Dr. Sarah Chen's hand stopped inches from the weapon activation control as new information flooded into the command center. Her biological weapon sat ready to eliminate every Zeltharian in the galaxy. But something unexpected was happening on the battlefield around Earth. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission, Commander Wright announced with confusion in his voice. It is coming from inside the Zeltharian fleet. But the signal is using human encryption codes. Admiral Park frowned. That is impossible. How would aliens have our military codes? Sir, Wright continued, the transmission identifies itself as Zeltharian Resistance Command. They are requesting immediate communication with Earth leadership. The main display changed to show a tall, pale figure in Zeltharian military uniform. But something was different about this alien. Instead of the cold arrogance that Emperor Zelthok displayed This creature's four arms shook with what appeared to be fear or desperation. "I am Commander Vethak of the Zeltharian Liberation Front," the alien spoke in broken but understandable human language. "Please, do not deploy the biological weapon. Not all of our species supports the Empire's genocide. Many of us have been fighting against Emperor Zelthak for decades." Park looked at Dr. Chen, who was still poised over the weapon controls. "Doctor, hold deployment. Commander Wright, verify this transmission." "Signal is definitely coming from coordinates inside the enemy fleet," Wright confirmed. "But Admiral, this could be a trap designed to delay our weapon deployment." The alien commander continued speaking. "We know you have biological weapons that can kill our entire species. Our scientists detected the atmospheric changes on the 12 worlds you attacked. We also know that humans value life differently than the Empire. This is why we are risking everything to contact you." "What proof do you offer that you are not loyal to the Empire?" Park asked. Commander Vethak gestured with one of his four arms. 3 hours ago, our ships opened fire on Emperor Zelthak's flagship. We have been broadcasting the truth about his war crimes to every Zeltharian world for the past month. Many planets have already declared independence from the Empire." Wright's instruments suddenly detected massive energy signatures throughout the enemy fleet. "Admiral, I am reading weapons fire between Zeltharian ships. It appears that approximately 30% of their fleet is fighting against the other 70%. Park watched in amazement as the tactical display showed the enemy formation dissolving into chaos. Zeltharian ships were firing on each other, while human forces continued their attacks from the asteroid belt and lunar defenses. "This could change everything, Doctor," Chen said from her laboratory on Luna. "If there are Zeltharians opposed to the Empire, using the biological weapon becomes genocide instead of justified warfare." "But how do we know this is not a trick?" asked Captain Rodriguez. "The Empire has been studying humanity for decades. They might understand our psychology well enough to manipulate our moral reluctance to commit total genocide. Rever for any teen." Admiral Park considered the situation carefully. His daughter was still fighting desperately on Luna Base. Thousands of human lives hung in the balance. But if the Zeltharian resistance was genuine, humanity was about to eliminate potential allies along with their enemies. "Commander Vethak," Park said, "what terms do you propose?" "Allow us to capture Emperor Zelthak and stand trial for his war crimes," the alien replied. "In exchange, the Liberation Front will provide intelligence about every Empire military installation in the galaxy. We will also share technology that will help humanity defend against future threats. What about the other species the Empire has enslaved? We will support full liberation of all conquered worlds. The Zeltharian people want to end the age of imperial conquest and build peaceful relationships with other species." Park looked around the command center at his staff. These were people who had lost family and friends on New Terra Prime. People who had spent weeks preparing to eliminate an entire species from the universe. Now they were being asked to trust the same aliens who had committed genocide against humanity. "Dr. Chen," Park said, "how long would it take to modify your biological weapon to target only Empire loyalists?" "Impossible with current technology," Chen replied. "The genetic markers that identify Zeltharian subspecies are too similar. Any biological weapon that kills one group will kill them all." "Then we need a different approach," Park decided. "Commander Vethak, we will give your resistance forces 1 hour to prove their loyalty. Capture Emperor Zelthak and deliver him to our custody. In exchange, we will limit our attacks to Empire military targets only." "Agreed," the alien commander replied immediately. "But you must understand that our forces are outnumbered. The Emperor has fanatic supporters who will fight to the death to protect him." What followed was the strangest hour in military history. Human forces found themselves providing support to Zeltharian rebels who were attacking their own empire's fleet. Ghost ships used their stealth capabilities to help resistance forces coordinate attacks on Imperial command vessels. "This is Colonel Park from Luna Base," came Admiral Park's daughter's voice. "The enemy ground assault has stopped. Zeltharian soldiers are surrendering in large groups. Some are even helping us fight against the Imperial forces that refuse to give up." "Confirmed from multiple locations?" Wright reported. "Approximately half the Zeltharian fleet has either surrendered or joined the resistance. The other half is retreating toward the edge of the solar system." "Admiral," Commander Vethek transmitted, "we have captured Emperor Zelthak. He is being transported to your coordinates under heavy guard. But I must warn you that Imperial die-hard forces are preparing to activate a planet-killer weapon aimed at Earth." Park felt his blood turn cold. "What kind of weapon?" "Antimatter bombs capable of cracking a planet's core. They would rather destroy Earth than admit defeat. We are trying to stop them, but they have isolated their command ship from our forces." Dr. Chen's voice came through the communication system. "Admiral, I can modify the biological weapon to target only the command ship's crew. If they are isolated, I can deploy a concentrated version through their air recycling system." "Do it," Park ordered. 20 minutes later, the Imperial command ship went silent as Chen's modified biological weapon killed everyone aboard. The planet-killer weapon powered down just moments before it would have fired on Earth. "This is Commander Vethak. Emperor Zelthak is now in human custody. The Imperial fleet has been destroyed or captured. The Zeltharian Liberation Front formally surrenders all Empire territory to human administration until proper trials can be conducted." Park sat down heavily in his command chair. The war that had begun with the murder of 10 billion humans was ending with humanity as the dominant military power in the local galaxy. But victory came with enormous responsibilities. "Dr. Chen, destroy all remaining biological weapons," Park ordered. "We will never need them again." "Admiral," came a transmission from Earth's political leadership. "What are our plans for governing Zeltharian territory?" Park looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of worlds that had once belonged to the Empire. Billions of aliens who had lived under Imperial rule were now free but without government. Dozens of enslaved species were waiting for someone to tell them what would happen next. "We establish the Galactic Liberation Council," Park decided. "Every species gets equal representation. Every world gets to choose its own government. And we make sure that what happened to New Terra Prime never happens to anyone ever again." Years later, when historians wrote about the human-Zeltharian War, they would note that humanity had possessed the power to commit genocide but chose mercy instead. Emperor Zelthak was tried and executed for his crimes, but his people were given the chance to build a better civilization. The galaxy learned that humans could be the most dangerous enemies imaginable when threatened. But they also learned that humans could be the most generous allies when offered friendship and cooperation. Earth became the capital of a new galactic federation where species worked together instead of conquering each other. And in the memorial gardens on New Terra Prime, where 10 billion humans had died, representatives from hundreds of worlds came to promise that such evil would never again be allowed to flourish among the stars. The age of empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And humanity, the species once dismissed as primitive and weak, had become the guardian that protected every other civilization in the galaxy from those who would threaten their right to exist.